Hey everybody, thanks so much for tuning in to our YouTube channel, Two Guys Take on Real Estate. As you know, my name's Kevin, I'm the Property Prince, and I'm here today without Matt, the Landlord Ninja, just so I could pop by with a couple of quick tips that are really going to be useful for any landlord that handles tenancies with a security deposit. So if you're using a security deposit or you're a landlord that intends to use security deposits going forward, listen to the rest of this clip. That being said, security deposits will vary state by state. So you really want to look at your local state laws before you change or adapt any of your practices or processes to avoid, really having to have huge legal problems for mishandling of security deposits as you do your business. But in this case here, I live in Massachusetts and all of our properties are out here. The big thing here is we have up to 30 days from the end of the tenancy to handle the resolution, the accounting of a security deposit and process any refund that's due to the tenant. So that's really, really important because if you're a newer or smaller landlord, no doubt you've walked into a situation where you've gotten a phone call from the tenant that's moving out. The phone call goes something like this. Hey landlord, I'm going to be out of the house by 5 o'clock today. Let me know when somebody can come by so I can give them the keys and they can drop off my check. Right? Clearly with that phone call right there, I think you can understand they're expecting you to show up at short notice, which maybe you have a job or career, maybe you're somewhere else dealing with a leak. You can't just do something on short notice. But secondly, and most importantly, they've pretty much made it clear that in their heads they're expecting to get their money back, their full security deposit refunded, because they think the home is left in fine condition, and maybe it is, but they've already set the expectation that that's what's going to happen. As a landlord, you should have already done that, and you should have already set that expectation very, very differently. You should have had them sign a possession form at their move out, so they should have that in their email. We like to do everything in writing. We don't really care as much about the keys. You should set the expectation that when they move out, they know what to do. Sign and attach and send this document to me. That makes me know you're moved out of the home. Secondly, we'll conduct a move-out inspection within 30 days of you leaving, and we'll process any refund you're entitled to by a check, by mail to your forwarding address. So right there, once you knew that they were going to move out, that's what should have happened. Should have sent them a possession letter that they can sign or return to you when they've moved out, and they should know the process for getting a refund, if any, and how they'll get it and when they'll get it. In this case, they've made a phone call to you. It sounds like they're expecting to get their security deposit refunded in full. And my God, if you're going to walk into one of these homes, any of the homes that I've walked into, that's not a given. I mean, that's not a given at all. I mean, everybody likes to talk about the nightmare tenants, but there are some good tenants out there that leave their home in great shape. And we do, of course, want to treat them fairly and refund their security deposit as fairly as possible while still protecting yourself. However, the bizarre stretch of the imagination that some tenants have about what is a reasonable wear and tear will just blow your mind. I don't know if we'll put some pictures up at some point, maybe while we're talking here, but my God, I've been doing this for a long time with a lot of apartments, and every week I think I've seen it all, and then something just blows my socks off. It's incredible. So you want to avoid a situation where you're walking through an apartment with even a good tenant, and they're doing a walkthrough inspection with you. You want to avoid a situation where you become confrontational and adversarial about everything. You're looking around and you're seeing conditions that are outside of normal wear and tear, and you're thinking to yourself, we're taking pictures, and they're noticing this and they're immediately becoming defensive. Some do it in a nice way, some do it in an incredibly hostile way. Remember, there's all sorts of tenants out there, and some of them can be very, very hostile. So why put yourself in a one-on-one situation with that and allow a situation that could be easily resolved through basic paperwork and email into an in-person situation that could escalate quickly? So you could be seeing something, they'll become defensive about it, they'll make a lot of claims and they'll argue it with you. It was like that when I moved in, that's how your maintenance guy fixed it. Well, that's from your other tenant, I don't know anything about that. That's not an expensive repair, I'll come back on Tuesday and fix it for you. All that kind of stuff. No, none of that works, and you have the ability to make your own assessment and determination of the home. Secondly, why are you being pigeonholed and allowing yourself to be put on the spot to make a determination about how much refund is being given with a very short inspection? Think about it this way. What if you decide everything looks good? They've been a good tenant, everything looks fine, and you hand them a check or whatever, a full refund, and then 2 days later, as you're doing your turnover, you find $1,000 worth of damages, of plumbing damages, of something you didn't realize. The garbage disposal was completely misused and destroyed, and now you need to have a plumber come out and replace some stuff. I don't know, right? You've already given them the money back. You've kind of sold yourself a little short on your opportunity to use the security deposit. You did all this work to have a security deposit. Now you shortchange yourself and the ability to use it. Crazy. Other scenarios is, maybe you do a walkthrough and you don't really talk about it, and you're kind of tight-lipped, and you just look and you say, okay, great, thanks for the keys. Yeah, everything's empty, and I'll get you everything taken care of by mail. And you think you're being kind of smart, and you're just gonna kind of do it that way, and you don't talk about any problems at the home. Well, your silence on it can also be misinterpreted, and frequently is. And then when they get the refund check for $300 instead of $1,000, they're flipping out, they're pissed off, and they're screaming at your office workers, or they're calling you constantly, and they're saying, hey, Kevin was out here, he saw the place, there's nothing wrong with it, he said I was getting my money back, he didn't say there were any problems, why are you screwing me out of my money, et cetera, et cetera. And now they're upset about that. Now, when a tenant gets upset about these things, if you live in a very liberal and entitled state like ours, where tenants have just all the rights, they have a fast pass into a court system. Just defending yourself in court is incredibly expensive for a landlord, but just the nuisance of having to deal with these conversations can all be avoided. Set the expectations ahead of time with your tenant. Tell them what's going to happen. You're going to sign this letter when you move out. I'll do my inspections, and I'll provide any refund that you're entitled to at the end of that inspection. And then you're sending them stuff in an email or by postal service. You're sending them photos of the conditions that you're deducting for. You're sending them quotes from an arm's length contractor or whomever, showing how much it actually costs, so that the stuff is kind of as unbiased as it can be. They then, when they're faced with this stuff, they're opening the letter, they're looking, they're like, okay, well, I guess, there's 4 holes in the wall. They clearly weren't there when I moved in. I mean, they know this. They got a quote from a contractor for it, and it's all broken down. It's really, really hard to dispute. And if they do dispute it with their fast pass through the court system, at the very least, you've got all the documentation and you've done everything all the right way, instead of getting into a huge he said, she said battle. So believe me, it doesn't do you much of any good to have a tenant walking through the home with you. It limits your ability to notice all the different issues or damages that you might notice given more time. It can go down a couple of paths. It can either create some misunderstandings or confusions because you didn't bring up issues, or if you do bring up issues because they're freaking disgusting. I mean, I've seen some stuff. If you bring up these issues, they could become very defensive about it. They could try to resolve it. They simply could become aggressive and hostile with you, thinking you're trying to take advantage and steal money that they need and are entitled to. You can avoid all of that stuff just by having a really simple process that you follow each and every time. So I hope that really helps. I'm sure some people have some different results, or maybe we could share some nightmare stories. So throw some comments on there. I'd love to hear more about your thoughts on this stuff. Until next time, Property Prince, and I hope everything goes well for your business and you're running your business very profitably and successfully and treating your tenants fairly. Take care.